Hi. Since I did a new playthrough of this game recently, I thought it might be interesting to go back and try doing another speedrun since I did one a while back, a number of years ago, and there were a bunch of things I wanted to fix about it, and just kind of improve my time generally. So, been grinding away at this for like a little over a week, I think, trying a bunch of different experiments, different routes. Some major differences between this and the run I posted like 7 years ago. I checked the speedrun.com official rules and decided that I would change the route of my the route that I used in order to fit within those rules, because the last one that I did not. I was just kind of doing my own thing, and I think there might have been a category that was appropriate for it, so let's see. The category as listed that this one is... I have it up here. I had it up here. Where'd it go? Oh no, I'm so disorganized. 100% all keys 1cc. So, main things about this. I can't ever die or game over or continue, so I can never refill my lives. I just have to keep all lives and not lose too many. And collect all the things, every key, every item, every sword technique, every spell, every heart, every magic container. So, a lot of the middle parts of this run are more or less a solved problem for me. There are just a few particular problem spots, and one's right at the beginning. So I tried lots of different weird things for routing how I do my first little bit of the experience. So the experience route is a big thing throughout the game, but the biggest impact I found is right up until the end of Parappa Palace, the first dungeon. It really matters where my levels land after that. So this was actually the first run where I tried this experimental route that I'm going to be using here. A lot of things have to happen the same. I need the shield spell because it's part of completion, and also I just find it very useful for getting through the game at all. So I decided to try taking the shield spell first. I didn't go for the magic container south of the North Palace. I'll be getting that after that was a rather unlucky encounter screen there. Sometimes I make it to the screen quick enough to not get an encounter there. I don't try to manipulate spawns to skip this screen, that's just too much of a pain and too random. Right, yeah, that's the other thing. Okay, I'll get back to what I was saying in a moment. The early parts of this do have a lot of random variants, so it ended up being a thing where I just kind of had to try the same thing several times in a row until the random numbers went in my favor. But yeah, so finally got a decent run here where I actually executed things okay, and some interesting stuff is going to happen later on, partially because of the weird routes with experience that I chose here. Anyway, so yeah, decided not to take the magic container out of the dark cave near the North Palace early on, because I'm not going to cast shield that many times, it won't help me out, and I'd get a little bit of extra experience from the Octoroks, but I don't know what it was, every time I tried going to that cave before the dungeon here, just I feel like it spun the random number generator a certain way, and like I would get, instead of an expected experience bag drop, okay, well there's 10 experience that I lost by getting touched by that thing. There's room for improvement here, obviously. I could have kept going and going and going until I got the perfect run, but if I tried to do that, I would just never post a run, because I would never have the perfect run. So, I'm just taking this one that's more than good enough. I'm quite happy with this time. Anyway, yeah, so P-Bag drops, very important for early experience routing, and just for whatever reason, whether this was coincidence or if it actually does something to, like, the state of the number generator, if I go to that cave first, things just seem to go better for me when I didn't go there first. And I don't need the extra magic now, so just don't go for it. So that's one routing decision. I also went for the bag in the forest, right after I went to Roru for the shield spell, because I want as much experience up front here as I can get. Basically the big thing is I want attack levels first, and I want to get to attack... Ideally, if I can finish this palace with attack 4, then things are good. So, that's the goal. Finish this palace with attack 4, as in, like, after I set the crystal, get the rest of the points to get attack up to 4. which means that I have to level attack twice, cancelling magic and life every time, or taking a life level if I can fit it in because it's only 50, but then that means I have to cross the 150 threshold. Right, then after that I have to cross the next threshold and set the crystal ideally right after I have crossed that threshold for the least amount of waste. Now, since I'm not using Controller 2 to cancel and reset my lives and respawn at the North Palace, I don't lose the experience I had on hand, but like when I was on that route, normally that's what I would do right after a palace, because I figured it was the fastest to just exit out of the palace and warp back to the start. But one, that's against the category rules, so I had to not do it. And two, I was surprised to find that things actually went faster when I didn't do it. Maybe I had my improvements in other places, but it seems like it's actually quicker to just walk back from the palaces. That's what I experienced, but that part could just be coincidence. Anyway, there's a ferry to the right. I'm opting not to take it yet. I did have to put in a lot of practice on, so like, again, problem spot early on. This palace is not easy when you do it at base level. Middle part of the game is easier than the start, I found. This room's kind of mean. I do some screen manipulation to try to get those. I did that kind of badly. Just get them out of... So the journey from right to left here is... Oh, that was lucky. I managed to get that guy trapped in a block and scroll him off. Yeah, the fast one is the problem, mainly. I cast shield here, funnily enough, because these bots in this screen are what usually hit me. So I figured taking less damage from them would be a good idea. So still cancelling my levels. So basically, the experimental experience route that I was... See, I took 2 bot hits in that room, so shield paid for itself. Experimental route that I was taking here was to wait much, much longer than I normally would to take anything other than an attack level. Yeah, see, there I got a big magic drop, which is not what I wanted. I would rather have an experience bag. Got the technique for killing the iron knuckles pretty much down. Works great on orange and red, less well on blue. Blue are a whole lot tougher. Anyway, yeah, so basically the theory that I was trying to test here was that I could get a huge amount of profit out of taking only attack levels until the end of Palace 2, and that I could probably survive. I knew I could survive Palace 1. That does mean I have to do all of Death Mountain at Life 1 and Magic 1, which I wasn't sure how it would go, so well, we'll find out as this goes on. It's interesting. Again, this route has a lot of room for improvement, but I'm happy with what I captured here. So right, gonna cash in my things. I think I will take the ferry now because I'm down enough that it feels worth it. Seems like it makes sense, and it only takes a couple of seconds. Time losses seem to be mostly big stuff, you know, walking over there to take the ferry, that's seconds. Dying in a bad place, that can be minutes. Or missing certain techniques and things. So yeah, I kind of have a feel for how much experience is remaining in the dungeon. I think it is necessary that I get an experience bag. Yeah, because what I have to do here is... There's like 3 enemies left to kill. There's this guy, there's an orange iron knuckle right up ahead, and then there's Horsehead himself, right? So this iron knuckle right here saves my run from having to restart by dropping this. So I get a 200 there. I take my attack level 3, cancel this, and then Horsehead is going to give 50, letting me cancel the Magic 2, getting to the perfect amount to have the crystal bring me up to attack 4. I don't know what it is, I guess just the randomness of getting enough experience drops in places where I need them, because I only got one big one there. I got that red jar from the chainhammer thrower in the candle room. If that had been a bag, I would have had room to fit in a life level up in the middle of this. But on this route, this just barely brought me to attack 4. I don't know, I guess I just got real lucky on the runs where I managed to get attack 4 with some other levels too. Anyway, so 411, those are my levels. Palace turns to stone and I just walk back. So this walk isn't exactly long, but it would be quicker to just press a couple of buttons and be right back at the palace, and I wouldn't lose any experience or anything. But those are not the rules. So anyway, Palace 1 done, need to get Trophy, get Jump Spell, and then it's time for Death Mountain, because I always still prefer to do that before the Swamp Palace. Oh right, and the Magic Jar, don't forget that. That one is important. So yeah, it's 29 extra experience I get here, if I do this early, because one of the Octoroks always drops a blue jar. It's like 1 per 6 enemies, and there are 6 enemies in here, so the last one you kill will drop the thing. So, but because one of the loaders was the one that dropped it, I can collect all 3 tens there. So yeah, I'm really going for experience right now, because I want to make sure to get enough for what's coming up. And again, there's some randomness in the experience routing because of when bags drop, or when red jars drop. So red jars rob me of the experience I would otherwise get, and bags increase it. So no matter how carefully I route, I'm just at the mercy of some amount of randomness, no matter what. And there's variants of, like, which encounters I fight, how many enemies I kill. Just gotta do it by feel and hope, and retry if it goes badly, pretty much. That's the story. Ouch. Ouch. Taking a bunch of hits here for some reason. So at attack 4, though, that guy goes down in 3 hits. I was a little worried about him killing me, but then I realized how much power I have. And yeah, the thing about taking a lot of attack early is it keeps me safer. Like, it's kind of better than life. It's a good offense, so therefore I don't need as much defense, because things just die so quickly when I'm hitting them that hard. So anyway, Rudo Town. Get Jump Spell. Not really much to do to speed this up. I'll probably talk to this lady. Yep. Because I usually take at least as much damage as I had left in life going through the jump cave down in the south. This game is just long enough to feel like a project to get through, but just short enough that I could, like, I was able to fit a run in pretty much every evening without pushing things around too much. Not the worst thing to have, like, not the worst monkey to have on my back to try to get a new time here. I still do kinda want to improve this. I imagine, okay, let's assume that I put the time in the video title so you already know what it's going to be. I think that could improve by at least a few minutes. Sub 140 is possible on this route, I'm fairly certain. If you look at speedrun.com, people have ridiculous times there. This is not going to be anywhere on that leaderboard by any stretch of the imagination. I am only competing against myself. But I figured it'd be fun to make it technically legal by those rules, even though I won't be submitting this run to anything. Just doing it for myself, but I wanted to try it the community way just to see how it went. And it was interesting. I'm actually glad that I did, because it had me try some new things and learn some new things, and it was fun. I'm trying to pull off a technique here where I move forward a lot faster by doing jumping duck stabs on that guy, but he got too many hits in for that to work out well. I feel like I'm a lot more coordinated with combat than I was last time I did a run of this sort 7 years ago, but I still have a lot that I could improve. But it's good enough for me. So one thing this does mean, if I'm not saving and quitting all the time, lives actually matter, so collecting this doesn't feel like such a waste. On a route where I'm just continuing all the time and refilling my lives, I would just avoid that spot because it's a waste of time. But yeah, I just like for that to actually matter a little bit. Learned the route to Bagu's cabin. I made a little misstep there, but yeah, I like to come in from the north, then exit east and south, and I avoid the extra encounter tiles around. Some of my earlier runs here, I forgot you could cancel his text so quickly. I was just treating him like Riverman, who you have to sit through, but Bagu, you just gotta tap the button twice real quick and then snatch the note out of his hands and leave his house immediately. I opted not to detour to that forest for its experience. That was just a little too far for me. So sorry, as usual, goes as you expect. Collect mirror, get life spell. I think I can cast a life spell at Magic 1? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because I will be using it on Death Mountain a fair bit. Getting the timing right on the talking to the people is tricky, but again, that's a micro-optimization. It's less than a second if you get it wrong. But like, there's a certain time after they come out of that door before I can press the button, because I'll just do a stab like you saw there instead of talking. Then some amount of time for the text box to appear before I can cancel it. And it feels bad when I get it wrong, even though it doesn't really lose me any appreciable amount of time. Anyway, magic refill is somewhere on the left side of town. If I needed life, I would cast life while refilling, but I don't need it. I got it primed. Let's see if I remember that, or if I pause again before I cast it the first time. I'm not sure. Which spell is primed is a hard thing to keep track of sometimes. Yeah, so this text box you just gotta sit through. Button does nothing until he's done. Alright, so Death Mountain, at Life 1. Here we go. I don't actually have a great feel for, like, how much of an impact leveling up life has, like, how much damage I take at one life level versus another. Taking advantage of my sword beam there since I have it and I know moblins and bots are vulnerable to it. It keeps me safe. Every time I come out to the overworld, I'm making a note to myself of which direction I'm going to exit the next cave, so that I can be holding that direction immediately. I might mess it up a time or two, but I'm attempting to. There's an Octorok that is sometimes on that middle stair, but sometimes he doesn't spawn. I'm not sure what makes the difference. That time he did not show up. This room's kind of a pain. Ooh, I did it pretty well. You know, for my standards, that actually went pretty well. Those aches are hard to get a hold of. If I don't deal with them, they're just going to get a bunch of hits in on me. If I do deal with them, the same is probably going to happen. Yeah, so that was a down. Next screen's going to be a down. Here, this one, I've learned just not to fight here. Just run, leave him alone, get out of the screen as quick as possible. Whoops. Okay, I did it right. And I also know which direction I need to hold when I actually get into the cave. So this screen can be kind of dicey. Let's see how this treats me today. I know that at attack 4 it only takes 4 slashes to kill that guy. Usually his behavior is I can duck stab him twice, then he throws an axe, then I can jump over and get my other 2 stabs in, if it is 4 to kill him. And that time it went well. It doesn't always. Lucoria is a surprisingly formidable opponent, easy to underestimate. Can lay on the damage if I make some mistakes. Oops. That's an awkward height for aches too. Oops, I forgot which way I was going. Just because they go into the ground a little bit. Oops. Why did I take that? Probably didn't have a specific plan, but I guess just in case I got another one before the big refill coming in the next cave, and needed to cast life with it. Maybe. Or maybe I was just using that to cast shield here to survive. That was actually, that will make a difference, because I will be using the... Right, I didn't have enough when I exited that cave to... So I need to cast it before my bar fills to cash in the rest of that red jar, and I made sure to do that. So watch what happens here. 2 taps and I am just dead, so there's my first life gone. So that's the life 1 experience. So this is why I like to cast a shield spell in places like this. This guy gets a ceiling over his head if I push him backwards, so I'm deciding to take a more careful route here for fighting him. And he needs to die because I'm coming back this way, and I would have to fight him on the way out if I didn't fight on the way in. Anyway, so first death down in a pretty bad place, but I figured I'd keep going just in case I could improvise something and still make it work. I didn't have specific plans for where I would be dying in all of the places. There are some appealing spots. Right after the Water of Life, for example, there's a lava pit that I could jump in to skip a really long walk to the left on a very wide screen with nothing going on. So yeah, similar situation with this guy, just kind of gotta pull him back to have room to do my thing with him. So by the time I get to the hammer, I do not have an attack level. It takes a bit longer than that to get to the 2000. All that has to happen is for me to get that and then another 100 to skip the 2 levels by the end of the Swamp Palace. To get my attack, I guess it'll be 6 at that point. Then I can start taking other levels. Yeah, so 2 down stabs, then jump over, then stab twice. That guy right there in this room is usually pretty cooperative. So 402 to go until the level. Hammer in hand. Just gotta walk out of here. And yeah, so this, everything from here all the way to Mido Town. Hang on. I always actually get my route confused a little bit here. I'm getting it confused right now. What do I want to do at this point? I think I want to walk back, like take the shortcut out of the mountain, not go to Mido. I might stop there for like some life or magic or something, because I'm pretty low. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I remember what happens here. So that's the amount of life I have. I have no magic. I'm a little worried about my everything right now, because I'm coming out of this cave with nothing. One touch from anything kills me since I'm at life 1. But I get a magic container here, so I'll get 1 life cast. That's why I primed it there. I forgot to pay attention to whether I cast it before... whether I primed it before casting in the other spot. Whatever. Anyway. So yeah, this walk, this is something I just would not experience on the route where I'm continuing all the time. This screen goes really badly for me. So much for that life spell. Well, it saved me here, but I'm right back in, well, 1 or 2 hits from death, depending on what's hitting me. So get used to that beep, we'll have it for a bit. So I'm fully expecting at this point that I'm just gonna die on the way back from the mountain, and probably have to restart because that's too many lives thrown away too early. But I figure there was some chance I might actually pull this off, hitless. So let's see it. Yeah, I guess a thing I like about this route is you see the whole game. You don't skip stuff like this bridge. You actually gotta go over it. So red die right here. And also bubbles. I was thinking it was the, like, chomping skull things that steal my experience that were here. But there we go. I pulled that off. I think I do get bubbled, so yeah. That was my 1 hit of 1 or 2. And I guess I was thinking now I really need to get to Mido, so I'm gonna do something safe here. I was worried I hadn't quite pulled it off. I stepped onto that grave intentionally to spawn an enemy. Oh, and then got all confused. Right. I'm a little discombobulated here because I'm not sure what I'm doing. I think I was gonna head for the Water of Life cave, then realized I'm not getting through that at this amount of life. So I need to make a stop here. And if I'm making a stop here, I might as well get the downward thrust. But then I decided that I would get that later. Indecision. Because it's deeper into town and I need the Water of Life to get the fairy spell, so it made sense to wait for later. Yeah, okay. So other than a few little, like, stutter steps back and forth, that was pretty optimal for the task I wanted to pull off. More optimal, obviously, would be getting back from Death Mountain with more health, but with the amount I had, that was about right. I think I agree with that decision now. Looks like I do take that. That's almost a life spell already. So despite taking the Water of Life now, I think I actually skip Fairy and Down Thrust until after the Swamp Palace, just because it's not quite on the way. Yeah, I'd be going out of my way for that. So yeah, there we go. Got another blue jar, and therefore that was a life cast. So this is the room. So this big long hallway, you gotta fight 3 of these guys on the way in. Oh, I did that. I was not close enough for any of those stabs to go off. Unfortunate. There's my attack 5. Ouch. And yeah, so that's a very tempting lava pit to jump in. Because if I did that, then I could skip this entire run back through this hallway. Let's see how long this is. Looks like about 12 seconds, a little more. Let's see, plus the death, the time it takes to die and respawn, that's... What, you want to throw away a life to save like 8 seconds? Okay, I talked myself out of that, that's a terrible idea. That hallway's not that long, never mind. But if I had literally nothing else I could do with the lives, like if I had a reliable deathless route otherwise, then that would be an okay place to spend one. But there are better places. Better places would be to, like, use magic and then just get a refill on it by dying. So on a weak encounter, I want to go right here, because if I go left, I encounter 3 Octoroks. On a strong encounter, I want to go left, because that way I only encounter 2. There's a difference. I think I will get a strong encounter in here somewhere. So yeah, weak go right, strong go left. Thinking about level ups now. I do something silly, don't I? Let's see, how does this work? What do I take? So I have to make a decision as soon as I hit that 100, because if I were to cancel that, I would not be getting another level up until the end of the dungeon. So I can't just like go into that menu and decide, okay, now I'm taking this level. It has to be at a threshold. And I should be able to take at least 1 life or magic level up and still get above the threshold for attack 6 at the end of this dungeon. But let's see what I do. I don't remember exactly how this part goes. Because yeah, if I don't take that, that's actually wasted experience. So right here I have to make the decision. I chose life. And I chose life instead of magic because I was down on life and could refill it a bit. That's the other part of routing. When you level up life, life refills. When you level up magic, magic refills. A lot of depth to this game. It's great. It's a very good speed game. I wasn't sure what I was doing there, so I deferred the decision a little bit. I could still decide to take magic when I get to 150. Yeah, that's what was on my mind right here. Like, what do I do at 150? Do I think I can get back above whatever the next threshold is before the end of the dungeon? Clearly the answer is yes. So the right decision is to take life again, because I'm about to die here. Or cast life, there we go, that works. These guys threw me off my game and I couldn't even collect the magic. These will take only 2 hits at attack 5. I'm not used to that. Okay, so I did take the magic up. Great. Usually when I come through here I'm at attack 4 and they take 3 hits. So I'm gonna guess from here I don't take any more levels until the end of the dungeon. Just to be absolutely sure I get the... No, I took another life. Okay. At some point I stopped taking level ups. Also, each level up I take here does kind of eat into the amount of experience I'll get from the crystal, because that's a larger amount that I have to already have. So a lesser amount that can be given by the setting the gem. But I only get so much control over how much I get. Seven years ago when I did this last time, I was thinking I would chart out like every enemy that I'd kill, the amount of experience that it gives, and be able to make decisions at like particular checkpoints in the dungeon, you know, look up at my experience and say, okay, I have 300 now, there's only 150 left in the dungeon and I need 500 for the next level up, or whatever those numbers would be. Here's my second death, by the way. I was looking for a fairy spell that I didn't have. So just a couple of silly accidents so far. I wasn't so sure about how this was going, but again, I decided to keep going. Yeah, showing just how dangerous this room is. Sword beam helps, though. Yeah, anyway, so I never ended up making that chart. I just played more and got a feel for approximately how much experience is available, and that makes it impossible to route exactly. So I took another, okay. It must be after this that I stopped taking. I was feeling kind of iffy about that, I think. But I felt like there was probably still enough dungeon left to get to the next threshold. All of that went very wrong. There was a magic refill in that statue I passed by in case I needed it. I did not. So, handy glove over here. Got the dungeon routes pretty well memorized at this point. I don't get lost in them anymore, as much as I used to at least. Sometimes I'll momentarily forget something. Well, that didn't work. Guess I'll come back for it on the way out. There's a magic refill in that statue too, by the way. Do I use it this run? I don't think so. It doesn't look like I need it much. Opening a door freezes me in place, so I can't fight while I'm unlocking. Ouch. 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 You guys just wrecking my face. Okay, so at this point I think I do take the magic refill because... because the dang bots. Oh, but I don't have enough jump. Never mind. Alright. Guess I wasn't thinking about the statue right then. Yeah, time to cancel. Sometimes these blocks are nice to me. This was not one of those times. I remembered I had a handy glove. After a moment. Ugh, this part of the run was not pretty. Yeah, a lot of room for improvement in that particular spot. It is hard to be at peak performance for an hour and a half, plus however much more. What a weird way to say that amount of time. That's kind of unfortunate. I was a little worried about my experience routing after that. I did not mean to cast shield there. Then I remember there's a few Stalfos here, which I figured would be enough to save this. So yeah, while I know all the turns in the dungeons, I couldn't enumerate every room that's, like, in a hallway, and what's in it. Just kinda got a general feel for things. So I only need 111 more, it looks like. Yep. But there's a bunch more dungeon. I go right, I get a key, I come back, and then boss. Boss gives 100, I think? Horsehead gives 50, Helmet Head I think is 100? Yeah, that seems right. You'll give 50. So I only need to kill the boss now. I was thinking, like, if there's anybody in my way, I can just skip killing them if that's available. And it would actually be better. Who is in the way? There's, like, 2 Stalfos here? No, I'm thinking of a different room. I don't know what you're called. Thing that throws chain hammers. Weird little furry ogre or whatever it is. That I can skip. I don't need it. It is irrelevant. My preferred way of getting it wasn't available, which is with downward thrust. I took a bunch of damage doing that, realizing afterwards that I will have to fight Helmet Head, so I better do it really well. Because I did lose a bunch of health that I could have had for him. I take that, just out of habit, even though I don't actually need it. I just scrolled that experience off without even collecting it. Alright, so you need to be sure to have a good fight with you. And my attack and practice technique ensured that I did. Your helmets didn't even manage to come back on the screen. It's 200! Okay, you give more than I thought. 200 for him. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so this is the big cash-in. So on that experimental route that I was taking, getting attack 5 so early, basically amounted to a little under 2,000 experience bonus from this dungeon. Which is pretty good, but oh, right, I remember how this ultimately works out. It looks good now. Let's see how it looks at the end. So yeah, going left because fewer Octoroks in the strong encounter to the left. End of this run is going to be kind of funny. So, Swamp all done. There's a cave there with a 200 p bag in it, but it's buried like 2 rooms deep and unless I have a very specific goal, is not worth going for. So I skip that cave, go for this heart here before I forget it, because this is about the best time I'm going to get. No downward thrust, I rarely have it when I come through here. Just doesn't quite route in, so that Mew stays alive. Heart. Very good. So now I can go back to Mido and collect all the things. Slow reaction on that bag. I wasn't expecting one to drop. But unless I'm just about to set a crystal, I pretty much always go for those. It's just a good idea. It's so funny how a shattered boulder turns into recolored sand, but then when I go into an encounter, it turns into just normal desert. A silly little detail of this game. So, priming the jump spell. Cast on next screen for downward thrust. My favorite ability. Let's see, is this the spot where a certain thing happens? Let's see what I do in this basement. Yeah, it's here. I had a distraction. I was like thinking about something else, looking away from the screen, thinking I was going into a wizard basement, and I could just walk forward and the wizard would talk to me. But these guys you gotta manually talk to, and I forgot where I was. So that's why I walked past him. Again, hard to keep concentration. I had 100% for this entire run. And that was a moment when I lost it. I wonder if that magic refill was worth it. I probably could have done without that. I wasn't immediately sure what the cost of fairy was relative to how much magic I had. It would have fit in the budget. It would have probably meant there was more pressure to collect the red jar on the way into the next palace, though, and that can turn into a red iron knuckle, and I think it does this run. So having a little extra is not too bad an idea. The refill is pretty quick. Alright, so the walking route from here to King's Tomb is interesting. There are, like... I was trying to figure out ways to minimize overworld encounters. What I realized was one of the best ways to walk, just in general, not particularly in that spot, is to go in a straight line right up until monsters are spawning, then start diagonaling. So if I'm going north, then each step I'd go east, north, east, north, east, north. Since they spawn in 3 orthogonal directions around Link, like 2 or 3 steps away, I think that switching to diagonal has the greatest chance of evading them, so that's a technique that I use sometimes. But there's only so much I can do to avoid encounters. Yep, Iron Knuckle. I figured it wasn't worth it to stay and farm the magic. I probably didn't need it here. This room hurts me a lot, doesn't it? Do I cast shield? I'm going without. Oh, 3 hits! I'm at attack 6! Oh, that's so good! That's right! I was enjoying that a lot. Because yeah, those Doom Knockers are, they are formidable foes at lower attack, but if I can take them out in 3 hits, then that is a breath of fresh air here. Because they are my primary worry when I come into this dungeon. Yeah, so that is one of the big benefits of taking this route. Blocks. So rude. Often I can just hold right through here, and then that means I have to wait for the Moa fire. That time I got unlucky. So Doom Knocker in this room, also key in the floor. There's a pea bag down under him that always baits me. And I always take at least one hit, but that time it was actually just one. But check it out, a life level happened. How convenient. How many lives am I at right now? I think I have one extra. Because I died twice and collected one doll. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I didn't mean to end up down there, but that's what happened. How do I get out of this pit? Like that? Okay, reasonable. Couldn't quite make that jump. It's a tricky one to make. Sometimes it just doesn't work. And don't I fall in this pit too? I sure do. And press the jump button too late. Kind of getting annoyed at all the things that were going wrong here. Normally this part of that dungeon goes a lot better than that. Not this time though. This is a place where I'm always not quite sure which way to go, but usually by the time I'm at the bottom of the elevator I remember to go right. Good policy is usually to go right first. Not applicable in Dungeon 5. First two rights have to be skipped there. But everywhere else you pretty much want to go right first. Well, not great palace either, but that's its own thing. My nemesis in this room, first Blue Iron Knuckle. Got a duel with him, and this room often causes me so much damage. I can get in one of those jump hits if I get in between his attacks. Attack 6 helped a lot with that. I only took one hit from that. That is way better than that fight usually goes. Yeah, that one's nasty. Alright, so raft in hand. This room. Oh man, this room layout. This version of it isn't so bad, but there are so much worse versions later. I'm taking my time. I know my life's situation. See, and that guy is doing his best to juke me and knock me in that lava. He's pretty good at it. I don't know why that didn't block. I guess that counted as ducking because I was on the elevator or something. That was a weird time to cast the life spell. Key in this room, I think? Yeah, key in this room. Right, so all keys is part of this route. In my previous speedrun, I was treating it almost like an all keys run, but then, like, I skipped one that I hated and used the fairy spell to get through a door instead, and, which was very silly, because if I was gonna do that, I should have committed to it and used it all over the place, but then that makes routing a lot more complicated. Feels better to just collect and use all of them. I do take this? I do take this. Apparently. How does it go for me? Ooh! I dodged all of his attacks. That is unusual. Let's see, Magic 4, Life 4. Next level up is Life at 800. I'm not sure what the magic threshold is beyond that. Where do I land as far as the boss goes? I'm probably gonna take this life level and then... yeah, gem gets me up to the next magic level. Now, how does this fight go? This boss sometimes catches me off guard. I just don't have a great way to fight it. I always take at least some damage fighting this. Some of it is semi on purpose, because like I want to switch sides like that to not have to lure you over to the middle of the... oh, that's how that goes, that's right. So this is interesting. We killed each other. I dealt the killing blow as I died. I was going back because I thought, uh-oh, I need to collect a little more experience because he's dead, but that did not count as him dying, so I get to fight again. Do I at least cast the shield spell this time? Yes, I do. I was not expecting to get killed by that boss. So that was my third life. I am at lives 0 now. All my deaths were in, like, super weird spots. So I think right here, that's when it counts as killing the boss. Like, it has to go through that little, whatever. I was thinking about numbers, wondering if I could skip a level, but that's not how it worked. So, set the gem, take the just under 1,000 experience I get for it. It would have been nice if I could have cancelled that life level and the magic level. Another, what, 118, and I could have... So if I had routed that a little differently, maybe I could have had better levels. But that was how it worked out. And that's just this game for you. Another run back that I wouldn't be seeing on the up A to continue route. So, done with West Hyrule. Time for the East. Do I stop at this forest? I don't think I do. I was thinking about it while I was in this encounter, and I decided not to. Also skipping Nabaru for now. I don't need the fire spell for anything, I just collect it for completion. I decided to go there after the Ocean Palace, I think? Because yeah, it's just not necessary for anything, so I can collect it whenever, so I choose the latest possible opportunity. Just because that's also the most on the way. So I'm heading for an extra life here, to get me up from 0 extra lives, which will feel a lot better than being at 0. No particular risk of dying along this route, it's just... I don't like being at 0, it feels bad. There we go, 1 extra. So yeah, always gotta route this way, go to the maze to get the kid, return from the maze to get the reflect spell, return to the maze to do the palace. First Lizalfos. Attack 6 makes quick work of him. Yeah, that like up and down technique that I'm using there, that kinda works on Iron Knuckles too. But like the jumping and attacking above the shield technique works more reliably, I've found, and not as reliably on Lizalfos. So I use the sweeping up and down technique on the lizards. It's less reliable. Doesn't always get a hit in, and sometimes they hit me, but it works well enough. I always stick to the forests in this spot because I really hate the plains encounters. They have Tektites, which are just a super huge pain to deal with. Forest is much nicer. Sand is fine too. So here on the way to Darunia, I do decide to try to manipulate an encounter here. And it works! Nice and quick. Second one seems less worth it. Maybe it'd be worth it. But these days I kind of prefer to skip the first one, do the second one. In both directions, if I can. The sky is purple here. I guess Link gets to this town around sunset or something. Down the chimney. Butt sticking out of it as he goes down. This time I remember to talk. This time I remember to talk. Okay. Turn in that child. There we go, reflect spell. Gap in the magic list, but that'll be resolved eventually. And then the long walk back. So gonna try manipulating again. And it works. Pretty seamless. Getting that in the first spawn cycle is quite good. It does not always happen. I'm just stuck at the whims of the random wandering of the monsters. They were nice to me there. I'm just walking a straight line here, not trying to do the diagonal technique. Those seem to spawn, like, closer to me than... Oh. So I've noticed sometimes the monsters do spawn closer to Link than other times. I'm starting to wonder if that's a forest tile thing. He can't see as far in the woods, so therefore he doesn't know when the monsters are almost upon him? But in the desert, they were farther out because there are no trees to get in the way of seeing. Is that how it is? This is awfully late to be realizing this. But I think that might be how it is. Huh. Anyway, yeah, here in the maze is actually just the one mandatory encounter if you don't count the magic container. Otherwise, walk the longest route and you don't have to do much. This is the unavoidable one. Yeah, right at the start of this run, there was that forest with the 50 experience bag in it, and I got an encounter there, like the moment I stepped off the path. Into the forest tile where I can't see very well. Yeah, so that was, again, a forest tile. Policy is go right first when you hit an intersection. Serves me well here too. Except in specific places where that's not applicable. If that guy gets off his P-bag, I take it. If he doesn't, I don't bother. He can be very stubborn at staying in that hole. Right, okay, so this is Palace 4. This has some nasties in it. Cast jump here to get over this gap. I'm not sure if this jump is possible without the spell. I choose not to try because it's too much of a pain if it is. Ouch. Jump makes it a lot harder to fight when I don't have a roof over my head. Yeah, so rooms that look like this. This one's not so bad. I wanted to get the kill on you, and I managed it. This might have Iron Knuckle or Red Jar. It had Red Knight in it. Hurting a bit. It's not worth re-entering to roll for a magic refill, so I don't do that. But it would have been nice to have if it had given me one. So I think there's another key down here. Right, and also something else important. The boots are here. One of my attempts, I fell straight down that hole twice, thinking, oh cool, I don't need to go there, there's nothing in that direction. Got all the way through the palace, tried to walk to the ocean palace, and was very surprised when my feet would not walk on the water. So, don't forget those boots. They are important. Yeah, so this is a little more typical of how blue iron knuckle fight in this sort of layout goes. They're tough. Drains a lot of my resources. I thought there might have been a magic jar in here, but I was wrong. I think the equivalent place in the previous palace does have one, but now I'm not sure about that either. That's another thing I could have charted out or memorized better, but that's not what I did. Alright, so this room on the way back is going to be a little bit of a problem. I've learned to handle it, but until I did, it was pretty bad. Here, this one is... it's like the other one. In fact, is it identical? So Doomknocker here instead of on, like, one platform later. Stalfos here, who's not an issue. And then this bubble. I think this statue has nothing. Yeah, nothing. Bubble kinda harasses me on the way back, but I can mostly ignore it. I wasn't so sure about that jump, so I waited a moment until it was out of the way. It's the third room in that layout that's the real problem. Because of those guys. So if I keep walking, it was very important that I not stop on the way in there, get them synced up, have them spawn when I'm jumping over the breaking bridge, because if I don't do exactly those actions, I am in severe danger of getting pushed in the lava. Let's see, there's one more key over here, I guess. Casting Reflect to kill those is completely not worth it, so I never do it. If I weren't in a hurry, maybe, but when I'm in a hurry, that just takes way too much time. Those spawns were pretty nice. Sometimes getting down into that hole and back out of it can be pretty dicey, but that time it went okay. Loud annoying beep. How long is that going to be with us? Probably until this next level, which is just a few experience away. That's right, I do a thing to force that. So there's two armored Stalfos warriors on the way out of here that are in pits. I think I decided to actually kill one of these for its 70 experience, because I kind of need that level up, like, right now. When do I turn back? I get that far before I do it. Sometimes hard to make these split-second decisions. There we go, life up. Conveniently timed. What am I sitting at? 1 life now? As in 1 extra link? Oh, and I also go out here to refill my magic. Okay. That's a decision. That was the lack of a decision, but eventually I made one. There we go. Not too much time lost, but some amount. They were clumped up, so I decided I would reflect. Oh, that cost me a lot of magic, though. No, that was clearly the wrong choice. I think I realized it afterward. Oh well. That's what happened. I'd have to fight that guy on the way out if I didn't there, so I decided to stop and finish the job. I don't go for that bag, do I? Surely I don't go for that bag. I might go for that bag. Why I have so much trouble digging that hole? This was not aligned. I do go for the bag. That's right, I was saying to myself while I was doing this, this is a bad idea, why am I doing this? It didn't take that long, though. I don't think I'll be leveling up before the end of the dungeon, though. So that was just a waste of time. Then as usual, I go right first. Oh yeah, to this room. One of my big problem spots. I hate this room. I got those two clumped up on the left side of me, which is ideal, because then I can run through here in peace without them spawning and wanting to knock me off. Now, okay, so there is this. Right, and I just take the ferry route out of here. Just forget this. This went extremely well as this room goes. Like, this is one of the 3 main problem spots in the run for me. I believe this was the key that I opted to skip in my prior run just because I hate it so much. And I ferried through the door instead, up here. Yeah, that room is awful. But fortunately on this run it went mostly okay. Don't I die here? Yeah, that Mew kills me. I was too late on the fairy spell to escape the lava. Yeah, all my deaths here were just in like weird random spots. Like not even in the super bad room, this one instead. My first attempt at this category where I couldn't press a button combination to just refill my lives and restart, I felt like it was just an impossible ask to like get through the whole game on just the lives that I'm given in one session. But then I practiced a little bit and it was less impossible. Yeah, there are a few places specifically where I expect to die, and somehow everywhere else was a problem during this run, apparently. Alright, so boss time. I was nowhere even close to that 2200 for level up. These days I prefer the right corner instead of the left one because I'm already moving in that direction when the boss spawns. He was nice and died quickly. Funny thing about this boss, so I showed this at the start of my LP that I did just before this. The pictures in the manual that describe the history of Zelda and her brother, the prince. There was a castle magician who was like coming out of the prince's shadow, who looks exactly like this guy. I'm not sure what the significance of that is. The magician's role in that story was kind of weird and unclear. Like he was there, but then suddenly he wasn't, and he looks exactly like that boss. So that is the ancient castle magician, apparently. Gotta go one more tile further left to be able to walk. 4 steps up here to get to the heart. This route is clearly much, much, much faster than refilling my lives and continuing from the start of the game, because I'm just right where I need to be. It's very convenient. Oops, I missed the spots. I know it aligns with like the leftmost block of the northmost part of the beach there. I just walked too far. I remembered not to stab that statue. 1, I was at full stats. 2, there's nothing in it. I remembered I was going to cast Fairy right up here somewhere. 1 hit now. Interesting, so at attack 4 they're 3, at 5 they're 2, at 6 they're only 1. I wonder how that works out number-wise. Like, I don't know what the underlying damage numbers are. I mean, there are integers somewhere, specific damage values of like how much Link's sword does for each level and how much health that enemies have. I just don't know how those split up exactly. All I can experience is number of stabs it takes to kill something at a particular sword level. Data miners would know. NES games are pretty easy to disassemble. 6502 assembly is very friendly for humans to read. If you're good enough, you don't even need to disassemble it, you can just read the hex codes. I'm not good enough for that. Not yet. Maybe someday I'll learn the skill. This key has an annoying amount of waiting sometimes, or at least it feels like it. Honestly, it's only a few seconds usually. It's just, I don't get control over how the wall builds itself, so it feels bad. Magic refill in this room, I believe. Right here. Do I level up before Guma, the boss here? I am not sure. Right, this is the palace where I was stopping to think for a moment there. Is that the second or third right turn that I've seen? It was the second, therefore I don't take it. Skip the first two right turns because they're both just dead ends. Then down this elevator there's a P-bag up here that I decided to take. I was trying to level up. I think I do, but I have to force it a little bit. So down there is nothing. Just nothing at all. Left there is a P-bag. This way there's a key and the false wall and the item. So on the way back I'll just be going straight up that elevator without any detours, I think? I should, unless I decide I want the P-bag on the left. I really wanted to kill at least some of these guys because they give super good experience. Just, I'm trying to take my opportunity, but I don't want to get too, like, too sunk costs on them. Why am I shielding? What room is this? Oh right, this guy. The false wall guardian. Good thing I remembered in the moment, because right now I sure didn't remember where I was. Alright, so over here, the go right first policy resumes, because if you go down that dungeon you just run into a locked door. Gotta get the key up top first. There was a kill. 200. I figured if I killed at least, you know, one or two of those, I could get to the 2500 before the boss. Actually, it'd be 2000 before the boss, because he gives 500. At this point, it looked very much within reach. Let's see, there are 3 more Iron Knuckles that are mandatory fights on the way to him. So that's 150, 150, so that's 300 experience. So I'm 100 short of what I need right now. So as long as I get, well, 98 short. As long as I get 98 more, I'll have what I need for the level up. Therefore, messing with the Firecasters is not worth it. Who's in this room? Orange Knight and Blue Knight, I guess? Okay, that's plenty. Got all the experience I need. Not enough MP for shield. Just gonna have to take this guy the hard way. Ouch. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. 1 hit. Yeah, it's fine. I was thinking about whether I had enough for jump to try and stab that statue. I did not. And I'm not 100% sure there is magic in that statue. I think everyone in that room layout has some, but I'm not quite certain. And then it might also be a knight. So yeah, shouldn't need any bags. I can just go straight to where I need to go, right? Why do I remember going for a P-bag on this route? I shouldn't need to. Maybe I'm thinking of a different run. So yeah, nothing at all down. Experience only on the left. No, I don't do that this run. I'm thinking of something else. There's another such spot here, but I just need to go down for a key, then up for the boss. This is reminiscent of... I got that because it was there. I really didn't need it at all. And it's only a 50! Right, couple of Iron Knuckles here. One of each color also in this room, but you don't have to fight the red. This is an advantageous spot because I can jump and then be back on the ground to keep blocking. but that jump is enough to count as being above his shield for the attack to go through. As long as I'm careful not to break all the blocks above me, there's a particular way I position myself for that to work. That guy's pretty much free. So, looking at my experience, I didn't need to stop to kill that Firecaster. But I didn't know at the time. I was thinking about whether I needed to go there. No, I did not. That went all kinds of bad for some reason. Just got very confused. Oh, right, yeah, so here's another of these dicey situations where do I have an extra life right now? No, I don't think I do. I was expecting my run to end right about here. Because, oh yeah, so I decided I wanted the level up in order to refill something. So yeah, I took that life up because yeah, okay, so it did make a difference that I killed the Firecaster guy. Yeah, I would have died right there if I had not done that. Yeah, surprisingly tough boss. That flail does a lot of damage. And this pattern that I'm doing right here looks smooth and easy, but it's iffy. Yeah, like if I press the stab button a little too early before the jump button, I just lose all my momentum and then I get a flail in the face. Yeah, so I was about to die there. I just barely had enough to get that done. A lot of stuff just right down to the wire here. So just under 3,000 experience. That's my bonus for this. Now, gotta make a stop for the fire spell that I'll never cast, just for completion. It's part of the game, you gotta have it. Doesn't actually cost that much time. So 677, pretty acceptable stats for the end game, actually. I'm used to doing it with 678, it being the Great Palace. Not sure what I usually have going into the Hidden Palace. Maybe 677 usually. Because yeah, my last level up would be off that crystal to get to life 8. That's normally how it is. So yeah, despite all my routing, I landed at pretty much the same place that I usually land here. But I had that extra attack early, which was actually super helpful. Like yeah, in Palace 3, taking out Doom Knockers in 3 hits especially was very, very good. So it looks like I spent about an hour, minute 17 in that town. So that's not a minute 17 I could save on this route, since it's part of the category rules. Alright, so I'm trying to manipulate here. Am I successful? I think I decide it's worth a second try? No, I don't. Alright. Never mind. Yeah, this screen's not that long. I wonder if the Reflect spell would let Link's shield block those boulders. I've never tried it. Now I'm curious. I'd still have to get the angle right, of course. It probably wouldn't help much, but I do wonder if it's implemented that way. So, journey to Kasuto. I think I go north through this forest. Yeah, that's the route. I'm taking experience? I probably just did that reflexively. I don't think I have a plan to somehow get to 4,000 before I set the next gem. It always looks like it's almost gonna happen, but then, like, never actually happens, is how this tends to go. I could probably force it if I went way out of my way. I'm playing super sloppy here because I know life doesn't matter at the moment. Maybe not the best habit, but that's how it happens sometimes. Like, just taking a little mental break in the middle of this run where I can just kind of hold forward and not care if I get hurt a few times. It's kind of nice sometimes. Because again, it is a long time of focusing really hard. Sure, I'm taking a lot of hits though, like, wow. I took too much of a break. I'm still sitting on 0 lives, by the way. Run could end with any death. Do I have any indecision here? I sure do. My plan was to go learn spell first and cast it, and get you on the way out. Then I had, like, a memory resurfaced. This wasn't something I tested before I did this run, because normally I go into this house first. Like, this was part of my experimental route. Then I had a memory surfaced of a wizard refusing to teach me a spell, and I thought it was that wizard teaching me the spell, and that I had to have the magic container first, but I don't know, I haven't tested that since, so I don't know if that memory is a true thing or superstition. Anyway, very minor time loss, if it was one. Again, all these little things, like, I could keep going forever and filing off more and more rough edges, but at some point I just want to say, this is good enough. I'm happy with this run. I looked at a text dump of this game that implies Link can actually talk to that chimney and say something like, I can go inside this fireplace. I don't think I've ever done that myself. And during a speedrun is not a good time to try. When I went in there, it was always obvious it was a door. You just go in, you don't talk to it. Do I take a magic refill on the way out? I probably do, because you need so much magic in the Hidden Palace. I think I want to go in there full. Yeah, and I'll be getting a heart container on the way there, so my life doesn't matter, just make sure not to have to cast life on the way back. If I were to try to improve this, I would need to test the whether I can skip that magic container on the way in and still get the spell. There was one other thing I wanted to test, I forget what it was though. And figure out my experience route better, but you know, that's always the issue with this game, like, how perfect can you actually get it? Not that perfect because of the random drops. But again, that is an aspect of that I'm sure I could improve, if I put my mind to it. I'm making sure to stay in this column instead of the one that's to the right, because if I went right I would encounter the little scene with the pea bag in it. Heart's right here. Alright, full stats. Time for Hidden Palace. Never get to hear that entire appearing sound, because I'm always going into the palace too quickly for it to play fully. So nothing much left, nothing much right. There was the bag, sure, but nothing of interest. Still at attack 6. Same as I was at Palace 3. So basically I got my attack 6 first and then just kind of kept it for the rest of the run, huh? I don't really want to kill you, I just want you off of there. I don't know if there's a quicker way to do that somehow. I think I'd try to fight you for a bit, then realize I don't want to because I'm not trying to level up here, and it's just not worth it. But yeah, now my magic budget's getting eaten into, so getting past that Iron Knuckle quicker would be real good for my magic bar. So that's another route improvement that I would make. Okay, so doing this review now is helping me spot all these things I would change. Oh no, this is making me want to do another run. Because I could do so much better, it feels like. Thing is, there's just so much execution and a fair bit of luck that, like, it would take a lot of tries to get a better run than this. I don't know if I have that many tries in me at this point. Third statue. Cast that jump spell. Here I have to fight a mini-boss. With the same amount of attack I had last time for him, but a little more life. And significantly better execution. Wow, that was real good, until it wasn't. That's pretty good. Cross. Now I know not to check that statue. There's nothing in it. Now, every time I come back through this room, I want to jump over this pit, and every time I fail because I don't have a good reference point for where it is. So I end up down here, taking this detour. Amount of magic that it costs to cast the jump spell wasted. Unfortunate, but what can you do? Get a big magic drop, that's what. I couldn't turn around and block while I was unlocking the door. I was trying, but Link would not. I was ready with the reflect spell for that rude hammer throw. Don't think that's really worth the magic, but it feels good. I don't like getting a hammer in the face. So yeah, the reason magic is important in this dungeon... Oh, is this the spot where... Okay, so big time loss incoming that I can't really control very much. So I decide to cast life here, and in that statue up top is a jar, or an iron knuckle. So I can fall 4 times to cycle around and land up there and try to collect my reward. Let's count. 1 iron knuckle. Let's do it again. I need the magic because very shortly I need to cast the fairy spell to get through something. So I cannot do it without the magic. 2. This isn't costing me anything other than time, but it sure can cost a lot of time if it wants to. 3. Let's do it again. Other option than this would be to go to the dungeon entrance and try to get the jar there. If I had known how many tries this would have taken, maybe I would have done that instead. 4. Still a knight. I could walk off the screen to the right, which might be slightly quicker, but then I'd have to cast the jump spell to get up to the statue. Eating into the magic that I'm trying to refill. 5. Still a knight. Just kind of goes on for a ludicrous amount of repetitions here. On the 6th one do I finally get the jar. Yes, I do. Okay. Not even going to cast the life spell, because I want to make sure I have enough for fairy. So it's 2 falls to get to the relevant passage. Nothing much of interest in the other ones. Oh, this room! Oh, this nightmare room. So that guy there, that's why it's a nightmare. There are 2 of him. I stabbed that to get them in sync, and it didn't quite work out the way I wanted, but this could. So as long as I can maintain this distance, I can't. You can kill them, I don't think that helps them go away. Right, I scrolled the screen slightly left and managed to improvise something to get them to leave me alone for long enough to get through the room. I hate that room. That is possibly the worst room in the game. Maybe tied for worst room in the game with the, that one from Palace 4. You know the one. 2 of the worst rooms in the game feature that enemy, and the lava pits below. And that's why I needed the magic for that fairy spell. Did I have enough anyway? Well, I need more magic coming up here. So, again, big routing thing that would help a lot here if I could pull it off. First of all, getting to that spot with full magic so I don't have to farm the statue and take forever. Getting through this fight without casting any magic would be great. So yeah, I actually, during this run, came to appreciate a certain design element in this dungeon that's coming up in the coming rooms. You sure gotta fight this mini-boss a lot of times. So you need the 1 fairy spell to get across the lava pit that I just crossed. Then there's another spot where you have to cast it to catch yourself in the air to get through a screen. But in between those 2, there's this interesting little room right here. There's a life here, and I really want it because I'm sitting at 0 lives right now. I could take a risk and not cast the jump spell there and try to do the jump, but that's unreliable, as we've seen. So I decided to cast jump and figured I would have enough magic with the amount I had to fairy afterward. However, these bubbles here are here specifically to drain my magic and punish me if I go for the life. Like, just this run I understood their purpose, and they stole enough that I can't cast fairy to get in there. So I gotta roll the dice on the red jar here. Yeah, this palace really didn't treat me well, but at least in that moment it gave me what I needed. Yeah, so the magic-stealing bubbles did me dirty up there in that room. So would the right choice have been to skip the life? Would the right choice have been to not cast the jump spell? I think I would have had enough magic if I hadn't cast that jump spell. But then I would arrive at the dragon boss without enough to cast jump there, and I do feel like I need the jump spell for fighting him efficiently. I could do it without it, but it would be... It's not the way that I know, at least. Why did I take that? I don't need that. It's just reflex. Anyway, so yeah, another loop here. Enough magic to cast fairy now. Yeah, so this is probably the biggest time save potential in the entire run. Like, not having to do that loop is like a couple of minutes or so. It's just really hard to route around it. I mean, I guess really the way to route is just be confident you don't need the life. Don't die as many times early on so you don't need the life. I don't know. Yeah, skipping that doll would now be my preferred thing to do if I can do it. Anyway, Barba, the dragon boss. This boss used to, like, seem just almost impossible to me. Now it's the opposite. During this entire process, like a week and a half or so of doing runs to get the one that I like, I had zero trouble with this boss. Like, just this pattern is 100% reliable for me. There are faster ways to kill the boss that are less reliable, but I choose this way because it is super safe. Just as long as I have a jump spell and time my attacks accordingly and position myself so that his fire won't knock me in the lava, completely safe. No issue at all. So here we go, final level up. Or is it? Thinking about what to do here. Thinking, would Life 7 be enough for Great Palace? I decide to cancel this, because I figure I can get enough experience to get to attack 7, and maybe I would prefer that instead of life 8. So that's what I try to go for. This has some consequences. So going to Destroyed Kasuro for the Thunder Spell, of course. Most convenient time for it. Nice of that wizard to have his house right on the edge of town, so you don't actually have to go through much of it at all to get here. I don't know what the trigger is for this wizard giving the spell instead of just saying the town is dead, look east in the woods. I think it's the number of magic containers you have, but I'm not certain about that. Is it having the cross? I don't think the cross is required. I think it's number of magic containers. But I'm thinking the same thing about spell, and I'm wondering if they do have the same requirement. Or if you can get spell with one less. Something for me to test at some point. Anyway, I'm noticing that I've dropped below 4,000 experience just then. Realizing that not taking that level, I could lose a lot. So back to 4,000. And right at this moment in the run, I'm wondering, how much experience do I get on the way to the Great Palace? Is it actually 1,000 with the number of fights I skip there? And the Moas! I just get Chain Moed here, and lose a lot of experience. My crystal reward draining away. This screen definitely feels worth skipping. Feels. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it actually is, but that only took 2 tries, so it wasn't so bad. In some runs it treated me a lot worse. So Journey to Great Palace, I have pretty much under control. This encounter is always still kind of dicey, just depending on what the Moas and the Walnuts decide to do. That's what I call this. I'm sure they have another name, but I call them Walnuts. I was waiting for a clear path through there, and they are just not giving me one. There, finally. Anyway, still, that was not even a mandatory encounter, so here, I'm using this to skip the encounter on that tile, which takes a lot longer to go through. That was a lot nicer. Yeah, I decided to take that because I am interested in experience right now. Feels weird to be interested in experience at this stage of the game. By the way, right now, oh yeah, I was getting knocked in, so I had to ferry, but I was ready for that. Right now, post-run, I would say it was a big mistake not to have taken that level up at the time that the crystal gave it to me. But it leads to something real funny happening. Monsters aren't always nice to me for trying to do this technique. Strong encounter, that's what I want here. It is much friendlier than the weak one, because instead of the walnut that takes up all the space right above the lava pit, just pulling me downwards, I just get a cooperative Blue Lizalfos at the edge who just stays there. Does not give me any trouble. Yeah, so once I'm past this point in the... This scorpion's very mean. It's hard to get past him without taking at least one hit. Once I'm at this point in the run to the Great Palace, it's done. Pretty much solved. Ah, no, there is one more encounter right north of me. It'd be nice if I had gotten this encounter. This is the good one. One step north of here, but that's not where it happened. Confirming that that's the tile. Nobody on the right side of me. There we go. It's the bad one, the weak one. Yeah, okay, so this is where I lose my other life. Back down to 1! Just showing how mean this screen is. You go away. Ah! I was ready to ferry there, but then I realized I could save it without the spell. Hey! Whoa, I just got an idea. What if I cast Spell on that screen? Would that turn all of those into bots? And just let me walk out? Oh. Oh, that's such a great idea. I will totally have to try that if I do another run. I'll bet that would work. It's much cheaper than Fairy. And yeah, okay. I'll have to try that. Shoot. Another thing making me want to do another run here. Maybe you'll see another of these videos in a few days with a much better time. I hope not, because I want my evening time back. Yeah, so that's the best I've learned with Firebird. Give him one stab just to get him off me, then do a jumping downward thrust to just get past. I was thinking about experience, though. Like, I considered stopping to kill that thing, but too much of a pain to kill. Left, right, right, left. That's what I want to do in these screens. Of everything in the run, the Great Palace is like the least of my issues. It's mostly a matter of knowing the route, and left, right, right, left is all I need to know, pretty much. And, you know, that one floor I gotta break and stuff. But that's easier to remember. I don't remember whether there's magic in that statue or not, but the Firebird there makes it a real pain to get to. This screen just kind of takes a while. I do take that because I am down a bit. Every little bit can be helpful. Yeah, what's nice about the Great Palace is it's very generous with the refills as long as I stay on the critical path. Although I can get unlucky and get, like, Bird Knights instead of red jars and statues sometimes, but as long as I don't get too much of that bad luck, it's extremely doable. So I'm realizing my health is beeping right now. I'm on my final life. I am expecting to die in this room right now, but I managed not to. Took enough hits that that guy was right on my tail. So I really need this refill now. I have up to, looks like 2 more attempts past this if I need them. I did not need them, fortunately. Yeah, so imagine if I'd gotten 3 Bird Knights in a row there. I would use up all my magic and jump spells. This is the 3rd one, so you go right. And I would have died right here, right now, and my run would have ended. So that was where luck saved me. I'm taking so many hits. It's a little hard not to in this room. Yeah, it's the worst enemy in the game, once again. Yeah, so that one does have a magic container in it, sometimes. Not that time, maybe this time? Nope. Unfortunately, I can get to it without a jump spell. Nope. And also it's quick to retry. There we go. This room. This is one of my least favorite rooms. Doesn't really compare to the one in Palace 4 and the one in Palace 6, though, but it's still pretty unpleasant. Just because this Bird Knight is super not worth fighting. I don't have a reliable combat strategy, and any that I try just takes too long, so I pretty much just take the life loss, dig through the wall with him at my back, just slicing me up, and just kind of have to take it and move on. Would have liked to have had that, but I couldn't really get it. Is the curtain room, I think? Yeah. Giant bubbles. How does this Firebird treat me? Not too badly. 1 hit and getting by quickly is pretty acceptable. Other blue bird. Kind of a repeat of a room that looked like this with a red one, but it's blue this time. And bubble instead of bot. Just do the same thing. The big ones don't drain my magic. There might have been a refill room there, but I knew this was where the fairy was. I will of course be taking the extra life, because I am on my last life here, and I figure I might need it. Another potential for big time save, so I'm going to start a timer here, right here. So if I had not gone this way and I had gone down that elevator instead, let's see how much time I could have saved. Playing this careful to make sure I don't get knocked in the lava. Just for the security and peace of mind, like, this is worth it. If I hadn't interacted with this bot, he would have gone off, so that was kind of a waste of time. 10 experience in here! So yeah, different type of enemy than elsewhere. Not taking the doll would have saved me 27 seconds right there. Okay, now we know. Hey, almost half a minute. That's not insignificant. I figured I'd take a few hits from this Firebird, so I cast Shield. I was right. This goes weirdly bad. I was trying to, like, jump through the floor, but I ended up killing that thing instead somehow. Anyway, so here, basically at the end of the dungeon. I was looking at my vitals and thinking, magic all the way empty, life not full, also life 7 still. I have not leveled up. And I have 1 extra life to spend. So I need a magic refill here. If it's a bird, I need to leave and come back. It's a bird. I need to leave and come back. Things are very tight. Like, this entire run was extremely tight on so many resources. But at least I have the opportunity to leave and come back, and it doesn't take too terribly long. Second time is magic container. So, here I am. 677, full magic, not full life, fighting Thunderbird. I'm gonna have to use every bit of magic that I have on the 3 spells I cast for this fight. I always have to cast Thunder, always want to cast Jump, always want to cast Shield. Got a green screen for that. So, I'm thinking, my performance here really matters. I do have that extra life though. I could die and refill my everything. I thought about it. But to some extent I like having the security, and also... So here's what's funny. How much experience does Thunderbird give? I'm going to level up off of Thunderbird. What seems like the least likely thing to happen, like the literal last moment you have in the game to level up. It's actually gonna happen here. But the question is, will I pull off this fight? Sure doesn't look like it. Better dodge good. Playing like super careful here, looking for the gap. Yeah, so basically I guess my pattern here is find the gap in the fire, jump to the right while he's chasing me to the right, jump up and try to get some stabs. Sometimes the timing just isn't right for that. Bring him back to left, do the same thing, and just repeat. Look for the gap in the fire when I switch sides. Turns out that strategy works pretty well. So, here I am. I take life, because he was leveling me up and I needed a life refill. And that is how that ends up working out. So I get this 1740 experience because I took not the attack level that would have been if I had just naturally taken it. Attack doesn't help with this boss, I think. Or at least attack 6 to 7 is extremely less significant than a life refill. So Thunderbird levels me up and refills my life because of the route I took. And this fight goes as it always does. There's not really any other way to do it. And there we go. So by my timekeeping, that is a 1 hour 43:15 time. This timing starts at the North Palace and ends as soon as Link stops moving to the right after Shadow Link goes down. So there we go, 1:43:15. That's an improvement from previous record, which was taking a different route, not legal by speedrun.com standards. But even improving it with the like extra stuff I gotta do, like taking the fire spell, that old one was 1:49:53. So that's almost 7 minutes. So that's pretty good. And again, there's room for at least 3 minutes of improvement in there. Again, sub 140 would be my my goal if I were to try and perfect this. Sub 140 would be pretty tight. I would love to get it, but I wouldn't love the amount of time I'd have to put in to get it. So anyway, that's a more modern Zelda 2 speedrun by my standards. I beat my personal best and made it legal by speedrun rules, community rules that are in effect. 100% all keys 1cc, I guess is the name of the category. So, maybe I'll do another one of these at some point. Maybe not. This was fun. I'll see you next time for something else.